Hello, family. Yeah, once again, this is Dr. Christine Owinyi from the Kenya Education Management Institute, which is the capacity building agency of the Ministry of Education in Kenya. I want to take us through a session on peace education and peace initiatives. I hope you're going to learn, and in the process of learning, remember what I've always told you, that knowledge is non-rivalry. The moment you get the knowledge, try and share the knowledge, and go beyond that. Enjoy learning, enjoy the learning process, and the result of this should be going down to practice what we are going to learn. The end result of what we are learning is more important than what I'm going to take you through as a facilitator. So you're welcome, and let us learn together. I believe in the process of facilitating learning, I will also be learning. Now, when we talk about peace education, I picked this picture because when I looked at this picture, I actually could see some peace. If you look at this bird and the environment that this bird is in, basically this bird is in water. I mean, it is cool. It is such a peaceful environment. That is why sometimes we find ourselves going to seashores, going to beaches, so that we can at least have some peace. Where there is water that is cool like this, you can attest that the environment around this surrounding is very peaceful and is very refreshing. We have to start from the point of looking at goal number 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals. In essence, we have this goal number 16 coming towards the end of the Sustainable Development Goals, because it's like it's holding all the other 15 and also inviting the last goal. Goal number 16 is on peace, justice, and strong institutions. We are expected to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. So it means every sector, not just the education sector, all sectors that that are serving the nation, or that are serving the people of the nation, or even people of the world, should be able to promote peaceful and inclusive societies. So aspects of inclusivity come in strongly. Aspects of fairness, justice come in strongly, and aspects of accountability. And when you look at all these, you realize that it is actually talking about how we can be able to achieve all the other 16 goals effectively. We cannot achieve the other 16 goals if we don't have a peaceful, just, and strong society. Now, I want us to start from the point of looking at this picture. I love this picture so much because it talks to me. I don't know what it talks to you. What does it say to you? When you look at this picture, what can you see? What can you deduce out of it? Yeah? I know when I ask you the question to look at this picture and tell me what you can see, the first thing you're going to tell me is that you can see eyes. Yes, if you look at the eyes, to be specific, then you will want to ask, whose eyes are these? Yeah? Then you'll go deeper and try to look at the picture critically, and you will realize that there are so many things that you can discover when you look at this picture critically. Somebody said they are able to see some maps. The map of Africa, the map of Asia, the map of the world. In essence, it's like it's about the whole world. Another one will say, oh, I can see some nose, I can see some lips. So this could be a face of a human being. Well, another one could say, okay, I'm seeing the sea. It's like there is land and there is the sea. I don't know what you're seeing. I don't know what you're seeing. But anytime I look at this picture, it speaks volumes. It speaks a lot. That the world is watching. The world is looking at me. The world is looking at us. If you look at the map of Africa there, of course you can identify where your country is if you're from Africa. If you can look at the map of the world, you can identify where you are. The world is looking at you as an individual. The world is looking at you as an institution. The world is looking at you as a nation. How well are you promoting peace? How well are you embracing peace? How much are you sensitizing others about peace? And so that is why I have taken this particular time to talk about peace education and peace initiatives. And when you look at the eyes, you will want to say that these are not eyes of a human being. This could be eyes of an animal, and to be specific, an animal from the cat family. If you look, for instance, at the lion, yeah? If you look at the lion and you look at its eyes and the way it does things, you will agree with me that when the lion gets out to look for prey, the best thing it does is to focus. So these eyes are communicating the aspect of focus, that we need to focus. We need to identify areas where we need to get into and work around them so that we can promote peace, so that we can preach peace, so that we can embrace peace ourselves. Let us be focused with this subject of peace education. And when we get the focus, that means we have brought in our hearts. And so we appreciate the knowledge that we will receive, or the knowledge that we are receiving around the world about promoting peace. And so the doing becomes so easy. Engaging our hands becomes so easy. And of course, the end result of it is awesome. So let us get away from just intending, having intentions of doing something, but rather get into action. Do it. Let's go for it. Let's go for peace. Now, there are various targets that goal number 16 aims to achieve. And if you look at these targets, these are targets that we can do, we can be part of achieving. We can be counted as part of the people that enabled the world to achieve the goal number 16. So the first one is effectively reduce violence in all its forms. Violence can be in form of psychological torture, can be physical, can be spiritual, can be social, in all its forms, and associated death rates throughout the world. Let us effectively be part of this. And exploitation, abuse, trafficking, torture, and violence against children. That is why we have to stand up and fight for the children. That is why we have to talk about GBV, gender-based violence. Let's talk about it loudly. Let's be advocates of the children. Promote adherence to the law at both global and national levels, and also ensure equitable access to justice. Equity is very, very important. Profoundly reduce the flow of illicit arms and financial resources. Enhance the efforts to recover and return all stolen assets, as well as fight organized crime. So that is why the government, for example, our country, Kenya, the government is always ready to take care of areas that are prone to violence, areas that are prone to crime, to war. Let us be part of it. How can we be part of it? When you get to know, when you get information about planned sins to create tension, to create war. Let us always inform the government in charge. Significantly reduce all types of bribery and corruption. Let us not be mentioned in this. Let us not get into the habit of being bribed or bribing so that we can receive services or we can offer services. This is the reason as to why our countries are lagging behind in development. That is why we will stay forever being mentioned, being called developing countries, especially the countries in Africa. Develop effective, transparent, and accountable institutions at all levels. Accountability and transparency are actually the key to peace. Yeah, if you want to be peaceful, then we have to be transparent in the way we do things. We have to be accountable for every resource that we have been given to use in whatever manner, in wherever we are working. Ensure inclusive, representative, participatory, and comprehensive decision making. Leaders, let us encourage the people we lead to participate in the process of making decisions that will affect them. Let us not just be the sole decision makers, as in you make decisions for people, as in you decide and tell and now bring it down for implementation purposes. Let us encourage communication. Let us encourage cooperation and collaboration as much as possible. Let people speak out their feelings. Let people give us their views on the various things that we want to implement in our organizations. Strengthen and broaden the ability of the developing nations to participate in the global governance institutions. This is very critical because we have to be part of the globe. That is why senior officers in our country keep going for international conferences, international meetings, and so on and so forth to discuss matters that affect the common mwananchi, the common citizen. Number 9 is to provide legal identification for all. It is important to be identified like you belong somewhere, starting from birth registration. That is why the government has been keen on ensuring that everybody has a birth certificate, and the adults, those that are 18 years and above, have got identification cards. That is why when we admit students in our learning institutions, we have to give them identification documents like an ID for our students, student IDs. I remember I used to have an ID when I was in high school. I used to have an ID when I was in the university, all the levels from undergraduate through to postgraduate levels. And then strengthen the relevant national organizations for capacity building, especially in developing nations like ours, to fight and prevent crime, violence, and terrorism. It is very, very important to put in mind that we don't have to assume that people know, that people will just learn. No, let us take intentional effort to capacity build our people on matters development, on matters peace, how to fight crime, how to fight violence, and also terrorism. Ensure the public have easy access to relevant information and also protect essential freedoms. It is very important that this should happen, that people should have all the information, all the relevant information that they require to have to make decisions at personal level or even at corporate level. Enforce and promote non-discriminatory policies and laws to enable sustainable development. All the policies that we come up with, let them be free. Let them not discriminate anybody. Let them be policies that everybody in the institution will attest to and appreciate that they are speaking to them. Now, it is important to talk about Sustainable Development Goal number 4. Sustainable Development Goal number 4, we all know that it really vocalizes aspects of quality education, inclusivity when it comes to education, lifelong learning, and so on and so forth. But I want to be specific with where exactly peace is mentioned. If you look at Target 7 of Sustainable Development Goal number 7, this is what it states. By 2030, ensure that all learners, all of them, acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development. And then it goes down to say, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and non-violence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity and of culture's contribution to sustainable development. This target speaks volumes because it is in this target that we run. We are actually running with education for sustainable development and global citizenship education. There is no way you can separate the two. There is no way you can talk about education for sustainable development without talking about peace, without talking about peace education, without talking about peace initiatives, without talking about global citizenship education. We realize that these are things that talk to one another. Because when you're talking about peace, you have to talk about embracing cultural diversity. You have to talk about maintaining sustainable lifestyles and respecting human rights, as well as ensuring that there is gender equality in the society. So in essence, these things are intertwined. They talk to one another. They speak to one another. These are areas that we will always discuss as we talk about education for sustainable development and global citizenship education. Now, when it comes to global citizenship education, we are talking about a form of civic learning that involves students' active participation in projects that address global issues of a social, political, economic, or environmental nature. This is very important for us to note, that our learners need to be engaged practically, participate in activities, participate in projects that talk to the social pillar, the political pillar, the economic pillar, or the environmental pillar. Now, for global citizenship education, we are addressing each pillar differently. As in, we can talk about social issues. What are the challenges that we are facing socially? Political issues, what are the challenges that we are facing politically? Economic issues, what are the challenges that we are facing economically? And environmental issues, what are the challenges that we are facing environmentally? And how can we come up with solutions to curb these challenges? The two main elements of global citizenship education are global consciousness and global competencies. This is very critical, that we have to talk about the moral and ethical aspects of global issues, that we have to talk about skills meant to enable our learners to participate in changing and developing the world. So global citizenship education has to speak to us to be part of the globe, to be part of the solution that the world is searching for. Global citizenship education addresses themes such as peace and human rights, intercultural understanding, citizenship education. That is where we talk about global citizenship, respect for diversity, and tolerance and inclusiveness. That we have to embrace inclusivity. We have to embrace matters to do with cultural diversity, citizenship, yeah, be it local, regional, or even global citizenship. And then global citizenship education provides the overall lens which views the role of education in the promotion of the rule of law. And that is why we are very keen to talk about these things to educators like you and me, so that we are part of the people that will be counted as change makers, that we will be part of the people that will be counted as transformative agents when it comes to matters peace, when it comes to matters citizenship and education for sustainable development, so to say. It draws upon experience from other education processes, including human rights education, peace education, education for sustainable development, education for international and intercultural understanding. As you can see, this is what I was talking about, that you cannot separate ESD from GCD. They go hand in hand. They speak to one another. You cannot remove GCD from peace education. They go hand in hand. In actual sense, the moment you stand on the platform to start speaking about citizenship or global citizenship education, then you are simply addressing peace issues. You're simply talking about peace. Global citizenship education aims to empower learners to engage and assume active roles. This is where we are encouraging every educator, we are encouraging every student to get out and start doing things, become innovative, become creative, become imaginative, be able to become problem solvers, so that you can be of value locally and globally as proactive contributors to a more just, peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, and sustainable world. A GCD aspires to be a transformative experience. In essence, when you get into it, you just find yourself being part of the group that is speaking about transformation, to give learners the opportunities and competencies to realize their rights and obligations to promote a better world and future. If you see what is here, it's actually what we talk about in education for sustainable development, that we want to be able to meet our needs today without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. And so global citizenship education is also speaking to education for sustainable development. GCD is built on lifelong learning perspectives, that it is not an aspect of one go. This is something that we need to continue improving ourselves in as we continue to learn of new ways of doing the things, new ways of promoting peace, new ways of bringing about the transformation we are talking about. It is not only for children and youth, remember. It is also for us, the adults. It can be delivered in formal, non-formal, and informal settings. For this reason, global citizenship education is part and parcel of Sustainable Development Goal number 4. And to be specific, as I already told you, target 4.7. And so we can promote global citizenship education, we can promote peace formally by really having it in the curriculum and having it as part of the learning process of our students of whichever level. We can have it non-formally, but doing it or embracing it non-formally in activities that are planned and organized in our learning institutions, like games, co-curricular activities, clubs and so on and so forth. And in the process, as our learners, our students are doing what they are doing together, we are actually promoting or delivering global citizenship education. In informal settings, when we are out doing things that are not really very formal or are not planned for, it is possible to deliver aspects of global citizenship education. For instance, if you're at home, you can be talking about peace with your family. When you go to church, when you go to the mosque, we talk about peace everywhere and anywhere. Well, global citizenship education can be different. It can take different forms. It has some common elements which include fostering in learning the following competencies. This is very important. Please take note of this. The first one is the multiple levels of identity, an attitude supported by an understanding of multiple levels of identity and the potential for a collective identity that transcends individual, cultural, religious, ethnic, and other differences, such as sense of belongingness to common humanity and respect for diversity. If we get to that point where we embrace one another as human beings, bring in the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because you are because I am. I mean, we will not have issues when it comes to matters religion, matters ethnicity, or cultural, or whatever it is. That we will appreciate one another the way we are. Because I am a Christian, because I was born into a family that was established on the morals of Christianity. Yeah? If I was born in a family that was basically Muslim, right now I could be a Muslim. And so we have to appreciate one another from that point of view, that I don't have to struggle so much to just talk about Christianity because that is where I found myself in. And in the process of getting the teachings, I came to accept it as a human being. But my colleague on the other end was brought up in a Muslim society, in a Hindu society. And so they have embraced that when it comes to religion. If at all we have to come to a point of agreement as adults, then let us learn to maybe share our experiences as Christians, share our experiences as Muslims, share our experiences as Hindus, and so on and so forth. And if there is something I can learn from you, a Muslim, I will learn and embrace it, and not really criticize you because you are a Muslim and not a Christian. How can we go beyond this kind of identity and embrace one another as human, as a people of the same nation, a people of the same region, a people of the same world? Because in essence, if you look at the way we were made, the way, I don't know how you believe, but for Christians, we believe we were created by God. The way we were created in such a way that all of us have got a brain, all of us have got a body, all of us have got a soul, you know, all of us have got an environment. So there is no need to fight. There is no need to quarrel or to create some rift because we belong to different sects and so on and so forth. A deep knowledge of global issues and universal values such as justice, equality, dignity, and respect. The aspects of interconnectedness, globalization, interdependence, and the global challenges which cannot be adequately or uniquely addressed by a specific nation state, that the challenges that we are having, like what happened recently, the COVID-19 pandemic that arose in 2019. How did we go about it? It wasn't about one nation dealing with it. It was all of us. That this nation is trying to provide a solution and share with another nation and another. And finally we get the COVID vaccine. And now here we are able to mingle. We are able to continue with our normal life without a lot of fear. Cognitive skills, to think critically, systematically, and creatively. We want our students, we want our learners to acquire these skills of critical thinking, being able to be creative and imaginative, in essence to become problem solvers, including adopting a multi-perspective approach that recognizes different dimensions, perspectives, and angles of issues such as reasoning and problem-solving skills supported by a multiple perspective approach. Another competency is the non-cognitive skills, including social skills such as empathy and conflict resolution and communication skills, and aptitudes for networking and interacting with people of different backgrounds, origins, cultures, and perspectives, such as the global empathy, sense of solidarity, and finally, behavioral capacities as a competency to act collaboratively and responsibly to find global solutions to global challenges and to strive for the collective good. Yes, this now in fact gives me the sense of a term that I like using, a term that I learned from my mentors in Israel, a term that we usually call collaboration. That let us collaborate more and compete less. If we embrace the spirit of collaboration, then we will be able to achieve what we are expected to achieve in global citizenship education, especially when we are talking about peace and peace education. So this is what I'm simply talking about. That if you look at this picture, if I had asked you, what can you see? Many a times when I'm using this picture, the people that I facilitate learning for, they say, this is a broken windscreen. Well, I accept. It looks like, yes, it could be. Maybe this is where I got the picture. You never know. I mean, when you look at this picture, you are able to identify some white spots. You are able to identify some black or dark background. This is simply to tell you that the world is totally dark without peace. But when we have people who embrace peace, people who are ready to sacrifice their time and resources to go and sensitize, to go and preach peace, to go and advocate for peace. These are the white spots that you can see. That if you and I can get out, be that white spot that is carrying peace and spread out, then we will have the whole of this screen being white. And so it is possible to transform the world with peace education, with global citizenship education, and so with education for sustainable development. Goal number 4A talks about building and upgrading education facilities that are child disability and gender sensitive and provide safe, non-violent, underline non-violent, inclusive and effective learning environments for all. So when we talk about learner-friendly institutions, this is what we are talking about. In learner-friendly institutions, we want to be able to embrace inclusivity, where the tortoise and the hare can live peacefully in harmony without feeling like this one will finish this for me because they are swift, or this one will will make me be killed first because they have a hard shell. You know, I mean, being able to accommodate everyone, being able to provide safe and non-violent environments for everyone, both physically, socially, psychologically, emotionally, and even spiritually. And so we need to get to a meeting point. We need to get to a point where we are agreeing, where everybody is comfortable, where everybody can go out and say, yes, I've got a home here. If it is a learning institution, embrace everyone the way they are. Provide facilities that can support everyone to meet their own objectives of being in that institution. And so that is why I like using this picture. I use this picture. This is a politician in Kenya, and he's called Musalia Mudavadi. Some of you have already alluded to what I am soon going to address here. Why am I bringing a politician here? Remember, we said the political pillar is one of the pillars that we have to address when it comes to global citizenship education. So this is a politician. I have intentionally brought him here. Why? Because initially, during the campaigns, I don't know if this is the party he speaks to, but what I know, his party is called Amani Congress Party. I mean, it is about Amani. In Kenya, Amani is a Kiswahili word to mean peace, meaning the background of his party. When he was thinking through, he realized that we need peace in our country. And the only way to attract people to come and support him in his political manifesto is to have something that speaks to the people. That tells you that in Kenya, we desire to have a peaceful country, to have a peaceful environment in all aspects. Yeah, peace is in the minds of politicians. Peace is in the minds of the local citizen. And peace is what we have to preach, all of us. Now, what is this peace that we are talking about? We are talking about an environment that does not have conflict, that does not have violence, where there is lack of war, torture, abuse, where there is harmonious living, and then suspension of violent modes of rivalry between political units, among others. If the politicians, once we have gone through, for example, elections, if the politicians can now come back and sit down and say, okay, you had this idea, can you share the idea with me now that I am now the one who has won the elections, so that with your manifesto and my manifesto, put things together, we will be able to have a better country. Yeah, I mean, instead of rivalry, why can't we collaboration, embrace collaboration, collaborate more and compete less? Yeah, I know somebody here is like, Dr. likes using that term. Yes, I like it. I don't just like it, but I love it. That I want to practice collaboration. If possible, have 80% collaboration and 20% competition. Because in life, it's not easy to do away with competition completely. It's not possible. Even in the competency-based curriculum, when we talk about doing away with competition, but we are still saying we need to embrace a section of summative assessment, meaning in some way, there is that aspect of giving some marks that so and so did better than the other person in this line, or I did better. You know, as much as we are not competing, we want to embrace collaboration. We want to embrace more of collaboration. That when I realize I'm good at this, instead of looking down upon you, I come to you and I work with you so that I help you to improve in the areas or in the area where you are weak. That is why we are now talking about peer assessment, self-assessment, beyond just the kawaida national exams that we have been having. Now, where shall we start? We are talking about peace. Where are we going to start from? This is very important. I want to tell you a story of these beautiful ladies. They look old, yes. During the First World War, I'm talking about those years, 1914. I mean, those old years when we had the very First World War. There were these 13 beautiful old ladies. When they realized that the world was going to be in chaos totally, and we will not have humanity remaining, or we'll have to start afresh, they sat down and really thought. In actual sense, they were having what we call a think tank. They sat together, and so they are called peacemakers. In essence, we refer them to the 13 Grandmothers Council. I learned this from the Mashav of Israel, that the 13 Grandmothers Council sat down, and when they were trying to re-evaluate themselves, when they were trying to find the reason behind the war, because it is very important to go for the why. When the why is clear, then the how is easy. When they went down to look for the why the war, this is what they discovered. They discovered that the greatest distance on earth is the 30 centimeters, in essence, a ruler long, 14 inches, between the head and the heart. That if we reduced this distance, then we could have peace in the world. Wow, this was brilliant. And how was this going to happen? If people started feeling for others, if people started having feelings, knowing that this person that I am fighting is human, is a creature of God, just like me, have passion for other people, have passion for life, appreciate the gift of life, then they will be reducing the distance so that they don't act from the head alone. It's not about what is in the head. Let me think about it and do. No. Let it be processed from the head to the heart before it gets to the hands. Very important. And so if we reduce the distance between the heart and the head, then we will have peace in the world. And so they started preaching about this. And with time, we found peace. And the First World War ended because of these 13 Grandmothers Council. Now, peace is a state of true justice and freedom from all kinds of fear. Where there is peace, there is no fear. All the values, attitudes, and forms of behavior that reflect respect for life, for human dignity, and for human rights. That is the rejection of violence in all its forms and commitment to the principles of freedom, justice, togetherness, solidarity, and understanding between people. This is how the United Nations define a culture of peace. That if we have to bring up this culture we are talking about, then let us learn to respect life. Let us learn to respect human dignity and, of course, human rights. And in essence, I keep using this a lot. If you look at my screen, I will want to ask you, what can you see? And of course, in most cases, people say, oh, I can see a black spot. Yes, that is where we go wrong. Seeing the black spots without looking at the wider, the larger surface that is white. The reason as to why we don't have peace in the world is because we are concentrating so much on the black spots in people's lives. Let us stop emphasizing on the black spots and emphasize on the white space, which is larger than this black spot, so that by embracing what is good in me, it will cover my faults, it will cover my weaknesses, it will cover my ills. And when you embrace me more because of the goodness that is in me, the black spots will diminish. Slowly, I will discover that this black spot is spoiling my goodness, and it will be eroded away with time. That is why we keep encouraging the educators, the teachers, the facilitators. Let us always look for a way to appreciate the good things that our learners are doing. Let us appreciate the small good things that they do instead of always looking for mistakes. If we continue looking for mistakes, then we will not have a peaceful world. We have different levels of peace. True peace, remember, starts with oneself, manifested by the presence of justice and non-exploitative relationships with humans and nature. And so we have 5 levels of peace. The first one is the personal one, personal peace. That is intra, it is about me. Then it has to address self-respect, inner resources of love, hope, and other values. The second one is interpersonal peace, which has to do with others, respect for other persons, justice, tolerance, and cooperation. The next level is respect for other groups, where we are talking about corporate peace, where we have to think with others, reason with others, tolerate groups, tolerate nations, tolerate religions, and so on and so forth. The fourth one, which is very also important, is the respect for the environment, sustainable living, and simple lifestyles. That if at all we have to talk about peace, then we have to talk about life on land. We have to talk about life on land. We have to talk about life in the waters. Sorry, life in the sea. We have to talk about the environment, plants, animals. Talk about birds. Yeah, I mean, talk about the environment generally, Mother Earth. And then finally, recognition of the Supreme Being. As I was starting this conversation, I was saying that it is important for us to always recognize that we came from somewhere. So depending on the background that you have, yeah, from your ancestors and others, that gives you the position you have in religion, for instance. Recognizing that there is a Supreme Being will bring peace. And it is the only peace that can enable us achieve all the other 4 levels of peace. That when I have peace with my God, then I'm able to have peace with myself, peace with my neighbor, peace with my country, peace with the environment, and so on and so forth. Now, peace produces fruitless well-being, prosperity, absence of fear, and profound joy. It is a value and a universal duty founded on a rational and moral order of society. True peace at all levels requires an order based on justice and charity. It is supported by functional social institutions that prevent occurrence of violence. As much as possible, let us learn to talk about peace and encourage everyone to embrace peace wherever we are. Peace cannot be obtained on earth unless values are safeguarded and people freely and trustingly share with one another the riches of their inner spirits and talents. We have to embrace our national values. We have to embrace our family values. We have to embrace our religious values. And by so doing, we'll be able to be freer to trust others and also to share the beautiful gifts God has given us, the talents as well as our being. Lack of peace may lead to war, remember. Nothing is lost by peace. Yeah? Everything may be lost by war. And that is evident that when there is war, so much is lost. But when there is peace, for sure, nothing is lost. Peace education is gaining currency as a strong measure to break the circle of violence. Well, think about it for a second. Why do we fight? Why do we quarrel in our homes? Why do we quarrel in our staff rooms? Why do we quarrel with our students? I mean, why are we fighting? A renowned educator, Maria Montessori, I believe this is the founder of the Montessori schools, said this: establishing peace is the work of education. Do you believe that? All politics can do is keep us out of war. Yeah? But education is there to establish peace. And then Ian Smith said this. I know some of us who are going through elections, like in our country, Kenya, elections just ended the other day. We will attest to this, that a leader often thinks about the next generation, while a politician thinks about the next general elections. It's about what will I take home, yeah? Will I win the election so that I earn a lot, yeah? But leaders will think about, yeah, what am I going to do with the next generation? How am I empowering the children of today to be able to take care of themselves in future? Yeah, that is education for sustainable development. Now, what is the meaning of peace education? We've talked so much about peace, global citizenship education, but it is important to talk about peace education. Peace education is the process of instilling knowledge, skills, and values that transform a person's mindset, attitudes, and behavior. Yeah, so the head, the heart, and the hands come in again. That it is not so much about the head, the heart and the hands are equally important when it comes to peace education. It enables people to appreciate diversity, have respect for sanctity of human life. I will not just stretch my hand to hit or to kill or to harm anyone because I respect the sanctity of human life. Acquire acceptable behavior for enhancing peaceful coexistence. Prevent conflicts and violence. Resolve conflicts peacefully. Create the conditions conducive to peace. That is respect, justice, truthfulness, humility. Name them. At intrapersonal and interpersonal, as well as national and global levels. Protect the environment and also connect with the supreme being. Remember the 5 levels? Yeah, we'll come back to them again. Now, when we talk about climate or environment, then climate change has to be mentioned. That is why I have to talk about goal number 13 of the Sustainable Development Goals next. That there is no way we can talk about peace if at all we are not taking care of climate. We have to be resilient when it comes to matters climate change and be able to do what is right to reduce the effects of greenhouse gases, yeah, and so on and so forth. Think about how can we increase the tree cover. Yeah, how can we plant more trees than cut trees? What are we going to do? Later on, I will tell you a story about elephants, which will really make you think through how best to go about climate change. We will talk about this next for another 1 hour. So allow me to continue to the next slide. And so when we talk about peace, it reminds me of my childhood lessons. Remember, I told you that I was brought up in a Christian home, and so I grew up with the Christian principles. And so you'll find me most of the time talk about what I learned, what I know in Christianity, not because I don't respect Muslims or Hindus or, whoever they are, but because I grew up a Christian, and in the process of learning more, I have now accepted and become a Christian myself. And so, if I use an example from the Bible, this is just for the sake of teaching you or helping you understand that some of these things that we are talking about, they are not just worldly. Sometimes they have got a spiritual connection. When you look at the Bible, the book of Galatians 5, chapter 22 to 23, yeah? Some of you will study the Bible like any other literature book. Well, go ahead and study it. If you look at this chapter, it talks about the fruits of the Spirit. And oh my, one of the fruits of the Spirit is peace. Besides love, joy, forbearance, goodness, self-control, gentleness, faithfulness, and kindness, there is the fruit of peace. So peace is not just human, as in it's not about anybody thinking about it. It is spiritual in essence. We have to be encouraged to be peaceful at all times. Now, what are the objectives of peace education? Peace education is there to create awareness among learners on the causes of conflict and how to resolve them amicably. It also is there to prepare learners to become good citizens in their communities, nation, and the world. Peace education is to foster respect for cultural diversity. It is to equip learners with skills that promote peace and human dignity at all levels of interaction. It is to use the classroom as a springboard through which the global values of positive interdependency and social justice are learned and practiced. Remember, we said we can spread this peace, we can talk about peace in formal settings, enhance participation in decision-making processes. And so, why have peace corners? Why have peace sites in our institutions? When it comes to such sites, peace corners, peace gardens, they are very important in our institutions. That is why we keep asking all schools, if possible, to have a section that they call a peace garden. Yeah, UNESCO is very keen on this. When we talk about ASPNet, yeah? When we talk about ASPNet schools, all ASPNet schools have got peace corners. In the same way, we are also keen to encourage every ESD center, every ESD model center in the country to have a corner or a garden or a class or a room that they call a peace corner or a peace site or a peace garden. I will be showing you some of the things that some of our schools are doing. Now, why should we have these corners? Sometimes we feel sad or hopeless. I've got sleepless nights, not able to sleep because of insomnia or nightmares, being startled easily, racing heartbeats. We have aches and pain, confusion, difficulty in concentrating in what we are doing, anxiety and fear when we are withdrawn from others, feeling disconnected or numb, fatigued, difficulty in concentrating, edginess and agitation, or even when you're having muscle tension, just like this beautiful girl here. We are saying when we have these kind of situations in our lives, we need an area or a place set aside, even in our own homes. That is why we encourage people to have altars in their homes, a place where you will get to and do what we call re-evaluation counseling. You are able to re-evaluate yourself and counsel yourself and really think through, and if possible get a peer to support you, or even have a group sit there and for the sake of supporting you come back to normal. It is important for the well-being. This is goal number 3. Yeah, good health and well-being. Peace corners promote goal number 3. Let's go for them. When we have increase or decrease in academic performance and poor concentration, when it is evident, this is what happens. Our children will just close up. When there is increase in aggressive and oppositional behavior, rebellious and risk-taking behaviors, when there is a tendency to defy rules, both at home and at school, and social behaviors of substance abuse and alcoholism, when there is a general sense of sadness, loss of interest, and increase or decrease in appetite or sleeping, which may occur, display of moodiness and social withdrawal, when there is denial in people's lives, when people are not able to cope with the reality of the crisis. For example, they have lost a loved one or they have failed in an exam. They may continue to use denial as a coping mechanism. Instead of using denial, we need to create an environment that is friendly, that will help them reevaluate themselves and get back the peace that they deserve to live a normal life. This is what happens when people are having such heavy hearts. Yeah, you can imagine what is going through this girl. In the dark alone, what is she thinking about? If we created that peaceful environment for her, then she will get out of it. Instead of every section of the compound being a dark area where they can hide and really get deeper and even get to do things that are very wrong, like being aggressive and violent, where we find young people fighting their colleagues, young people fighting their parents, fighting their teachers. What causes all this? It's because the mind is not at peace. We find them not able to manage their anger, that they can scream at the top of their mind, their voices, and they are not able to manage their anger. They go to the point of bullying others. Yeah, when they feel like they are masculine, they are more energetic than another person, they want to go and bully that person. They don't want them to exercise the freedom of enjoying the facilities in the institution. We can even have them think about suicide. When we have children as young as standard 8 children or grade 8 children thinking about suicide because they have failed in an exam, in a national exam like KCPE. I mean, we need to look for ways to curb this. And the only way is have a support system, and the support system is what we are talking about, creating an environment that is friendly, that will help the learners support one another, and in essence come up with peer counseling forums. And these peer counseling forums can happen in our peace corners, in our peace gardens. Yeah, how can peer counselors use the peace gardens? And how is it helpful to have peace gardens for peer counseling? It is cost effective. It raises the self-esteem of the peers. It is accessible because the peer is just there. It is effective because peers tend to listen to their peers more than to their seniors. It has special insights because they relate. They are able to speak the same language. If it is Sheng, they can understand one another. When they say Buddha, probably you don't understand Buddha, but them, they understand what it means. Nowadays, they have other terms that I don't even know. Then we have, it is non-threatening. When a peer is counseling a peer, they don't fear speaking out their inner feelings. They are able to open up. And then the aspect of empathy, feeling for one another. And the outreach is quicker than when there is a long line to see the guidance and counseling teacher or teachers in the institution. Now, here are different types. Let me just mention these types of peer counseling programs. These peer counseling programs can effectively take place in the peace gardens where there is student-to-student help, that is peer counseling. We can talk about students helping others through one-on-one contacts. We can have peer education happening there, developing and leading class presentations or even school activities on subjects at the Peace Garden. We can have peer meditation where students are trained in the conflict resolution, peer meditation process and mediate disputes. They are able to now sit there and learn about peer mediation, peer small groups, where the learners themselves lead or co-lead support groups on special or general topics like drop-in, informal groups. They can address aspects of alcoholism, girls groups, smokers, and so on and so forth. We have peer counselors support, where they support students, staff, even events and activities at school. Students give help and assistance to others with commitment. We have peer transition assistance. When a student is moving from one level to another, we can have older students helping the newer students adjust to life. And then we have peer mentoring, which takes place usually between the older ones who are experienced and the new ones. So these are peer counseling programs that can take place in the peace gardens. Since peace education is experiential, participatory, and activity-oriented, all educators are capable of facilitating its implementation through sensitizing learners, teachers, and other community members on peace, promoting a culture of dialogue, speaking out. Let us have a conversation, consultation and negotiation at all levels, sensitizing parents on peace building at institutional level or family level. This is very important when it comes to parental empowerment and parental engagement that we have in the competency-based curriculum. Peace education is critical because if at all we have to succeed to achieve in what we are doing in our education system, then we have to bring in the practice of capacity building parents on matters peace, and then become ambassadors of peace in the community. Me, you and I mean, yeah, in English it is not from me, we start from you, then I. You and I have to become peace ambassadors. Support activities of the peace clubs that we have in our learning institutions. Give them ideas, help them generate more ideas on how to do it better. And then promote peaceful coexistence with community members through provision of community services and other interactive forums. Promote mentorship programs for providing moral and ethical development for other teachers and learners, support co-curricular activities. This is very important when we talk about non-formal settings, which promote cooperation and facilitate holistic growth and development. When these learners are able to cooperate and do things together, we are actually helping them to learn how to relate with one another and so embrace peace. Respond to issues by learners in suggestion boxes or through open forums. Let us not ignore the small thoughts that are put on paper and placed in the suggestion boxes. Open those boxes and address those issues amicably. Establish peace clubs, peace gardens, peace corners, peace talks, peace debates, name them. Just like what some schools have done, if you look at this school, this is a peace corner. They've said a place to walk with God, a place to meditate, a place for reconciliation, a place to solve disputes. There is the peace toolkit there, and as you can see, there is a staff member who is sitting at the peace corner. This is Machakos Boys. If you go to Machakos Boys, just in front of the main office building, you will find this. It is actually at a neutral ground, from the laboratory to the classes to the boarding section to the administration block. They have the map of Kenya, and around it they've written the philosophy of Kenya: peace, love, and unity. And then they have a peace club in everything that they are doing. I mean, I love it. This is very good. Machakos Boys, keep it up. And then if you go to Narok, our model school in Narok, that is St. Mary's, at the gate, what they have is, this is a peace zone. Yeah, I mean, when anybody gets to the school, they have to really experience the peaceful environment and experience the peace that they deserve to experience while they are in this peace zone. I love it so much. Yeah, in other institutions, we have peace corners. You go to Rudagati, there is a peace corner. Rudagati is in Nyeri. You go to Tumutumu Girls, there is a peace corner. You know, I cannot finish mentioning all of them. Now, like for this one, they've said this is a peace corner. A peace corner is a sanctuary of peace, a space of community dialogue, a space of that is free of violence, a space for environmental conservation. You see, they are speaking to what I've just been talking about, a space for tolerance and caring for one another, a space for self-expression. I think I love this. Keep it up. And so that is why we go to the beach, to source for a peace of mind, to get an environment that is cool, to give us some peace. Yeah? So then, how are we going to go about this? How are we going to achieve what I've just been saying? Because, as I said, it's about the result. It is not so much about the process. We want to think about the result of all this that we have been learning. We have to start from this point. Embrace ego and not echo form of leadership. Sorry, echo and not ego form of leadership. If we go for ego, it is about me. It is me, the I. I am standing on top of everyone. Yeah? Everybody has to bow down. And so what happens, you can see, the earth is in a mess. Things die. Everything, the environment is destroyed. Everybody, animals and things there are dying. But when you embrace the eco system, the eco mode of leadership, where the leader is coexisting, living among the rest, then we will have vibrancy. We are moving away from we the people to we are one. That is what I was trained by South Korea, the HWPL. Most of us, I believe, have gone through their courses, and it is about us. We are one. Yeah, we are one. Our people, we are the same. We are one. If at all we have to talk about we instead of I, then we are going to achieve what we are going for. And we must have mad conversations. Mad conversations simply mean make a difference conversations. We have to start from somewhere. At the beginning, we'll have thoughts that are not so clear, blurred as you can see. But as we continue thinking about and focusing like that face that I showed you at the beginning, we get to a point of getting it clearer and get the focus on how we can start and go about what we want to do. Just like this baby, the things that are on their head are several ideas. So just be cool, think, go about your thoughts, reevaluate yourself, reevaluate the way things are done in your institution. Think peacefully and you'll get a solution. And the moment you get a solution, then it is about everybody in the institution becoming a peace ambassador. If everybody is a peace ambassador in your institution, when they go home, when they go out, then you can be sure this peace will spread to the entire community and we will have more peace in our country. Just like if you are very thirsty, you've been running and you are very thirsty, then you get to a room with so many bottles of water. And these bottles are of different shapes, of course, and it's the same quantity. Which bottle will you go for? Well, some of you will want to start thinking now which one. Remember, you are very thirsty. Definitely, you will pick on any. So let us have everybody in our institutions embracing peace and be able to talk about, advocate for peace, so that if anybody has a challenge, they can pick on anybody and they'll be able to share matters peace. We have to start from somewhere. It's about time. Start slowly. It will get to a point when you start doubting, is it really working? Is what I'm doing going to bear fruit? I want to encourage you that you need to move on. Do not give up. If you give up, then you will fail. But if you persist the pain and move on, then you are going to achieve the peace that we are looking for. Yeah, just like this animal, if I asked you to search for the hidden tiger, I know you will take ages. Some of you will just be imagining there is a tiger in this bush and it's yeah. I've had those experiences in our classes and it is so beautiful. But the answer is simple, that when you look at this animal and the writings simply say the hidden tiger. So what does it communicate? When it becomes to becoming a peace ambassador, you know, it has to be in you, yeah? Let people wonder something is happening, but they start looking around, they're like, something is happening, until really they are very keen to notice that it is about who you have become. It is written on you that you are a peace ambassador, that the way you dress, the way you do the things you do, the way you carry on yourself, you are preaching peace. Yeah, this diagram is equally very interesting. It's about perspectives, yeah? People will perceive things differently. So we have learned about peace education. So it will go back to how are you going to perceive it? What can you see here? There are so many things depending on your perception, yeah? Somebody will say, I can see the face of a person. Another one will say, oh, I can see two birds. I can see two women carrying something, you know. Others will say, I can see the ocean. Others will say, you know, there are so many things to be seen here. So peace education is not static, yeah? It is not like, okay, what I've said, it has to be. So I'm just sensitizing you from the point of view of what I have learned myself from my facilitators and from what I have been reading, what I have picked on my own and from my own personal experiences. So it is about what do you perceive, or what do you want to become when it comes to the area of peace education. For us to achieve what we want to achieve, we have to role model. Remember, my role is being the change. And if I have to be the change, I have to be in control. I have to inspire. I have to learn to adjust myself, the way I do things. I have to update myself at all times. And also seek for advice, consult as much as I can. And so this means from me, I need to get mentees, and my mentees be encouraged to get mentees, and their mentees be encouraged to get mentees. And with so doing, we'll be able to spread the peace that we are talking about around the world. And these aspects are very important. The competencies here are very, very important when it comes to developing, becoming, and achieving the peace we are looking for. Inspire, be resourceful, be responsive, be there for others. I mean, don't just hear and keep quiet. It is so disheartening when somebody is speaking and it's as if they are talking to stones. I mean, be responsive. This message that we are passing across, when the HWPR are busy talking about world peace, when UNESCO is busy talking about global citizenship education and education for sustainable development, when Mashav is busy talking about education for sustainable development and professional development and other things. Let us be responsive. Let us be ready to learn, accept the process, and move with the change. Be the change. Now, this is the story I was talking about, where a zookeeper was complaining of the smell that comes out from the dung that the elephants poop. But one of the zookeepers gave this beautiful answer. Do you know that pepper can be made with the elephant's dung? One elephant's poop about 50 kilos of dung a day. And about 10 kilos of that is fiber. So what does that communicate? With 10 kilograms of fiber, you can make 660 sheets of paper. Then you can make about 240,000 sheets of paper in a year. Yeah? Usually, you can make this amount of paper from 240 trees. What does that mean? If at all we embraced this dung, then we will be saving 240 trees for one elephant. From one elephant's dung, I mean, it is amazing. Even in the things that look useless and worthless, there is a certain value and use. That is the spirit. Let us embrace one another. Let us not say that so and so is not of value or is not adding value. Even that person who is least in your institution has got some value. There is some certain value in them. Embrace them and let us increase peace. Educate and act. Seek knowledge. Be creative. Make use of media literacy. Connect with the community. Apply what you're learning in real life experiences or to solve real life situations. Be the leader with confidence. Collaborate more. Exchange ideas. Plan for events. Organize and present information to others. Go out and teach. The moment you learn, remember I've always said you are blessed to be a blessing. So go out and tell others about what you are learning or what you've acquired. And that is the only way we can be able to achieve goal number 17. Goal number 17 is just next to goal number 16 here, which talks about partnerships for goals. You cannot do this alone. You need to work with others. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. The English department talk to the mathematics department and come together, get solutions. This is just something to think about. If there is a hole in the boat and you are all in the boat, if you are at the far end, are you safe when you are saying, I'm sure glad that the hole isn't in my end? Remember, all of you will at the end capsize. So we have to work and be sure that we are sealing that hole, all of us, because we are in the same boat. Let us not say that that one is hers or that is her class. Let her deal with her class. No. Let us go there, support one another, seal that hole so that our institution is well able to take care of all of us. The success of peace initiative and conflict transformation at all levels is pegged on personal commitment and willingness to internalize skills, values, attitudes, and knowledge that will positively impact on our way of life. Peaceful coexistence and harmonious living begins with the self and later spreads to those around us. With time, the entire society embraces peace and patriotism. And that is why I have to talk about our national anthem in Kenya. If you listen to the words of our national anthem, the three stanzas, they all speak to us. They all speak peace. This is a beautiful prayer. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Yeah? In common bond united, build this nation together. And the glory of Kenya, the fruit of our labor. I mean, with hearts both strong and true, service be our earnest endeavor, and our homeland of Kenya, heritage of splendor, firm may we stand to defend. We can only do that when we are embracing peace. Such, be generous, reconcile, be grateful, love, be coherent, speak out, illuminate, and pray. Remember, it's a give and take. If we have to give peace, we will get peace. If we have to give love, we get love. So give love, get love. So it is give and take for us to have a peaceful society. When you begin to do what matters most to you, you let go the preconceived notion of who you are, which have been fostered by others, and start creating the person you most want to be. Remember, it is you and I who want to be a peace ambassador. Go for it, because it is worth it. And we have to make the rope tight. We have to tighten every part. Let us learn and be strong. Yeah? Tighten up so that you are able to carry the load that comes with what you want to become in the process of spreading peace in the world. There are three people in this world: those that make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. Where do you belong? I believe we all desire to be the people who make things happen. Oh my, I want to be. I want to be there, to be the one. Think of the role of teachers as facilitators. That all the educators need to go out and facilitate learning on peace education. Students as innovators. Having our learners come out with ideas that can solve challenges globally, challenges locally, or even at institutional level. That institutions are centers of peace, that all our schools, all our universities, all our learning institutions, all our organizations should be centers of peace and education for sustainable development. Then all citizens to be prosumers. What prosumer means, it simply means produce what you can consume. Don't produce things for others. Yeah? If you're producing a violent society, can you consume that? Are you happy with that? So do what you want to see being done to you, prosumer. If you're producing plastic eggs, can you consume those plastic eggs? That is the essence. Produce what you can consume. Don't just produce for others. You got to be before you can do. You got to do before you can have. And you've got to have before you can give. So for you to have, go for it. Go for it. Have it. And then give it out. Life is not always perfect. There is always a possibility for a problem. As we start the journey of building peace, there is possibility that there will be a problem along the way. Remember, the problem is not the end, but it is the beginning of a different life. The challenges that we face in life should be stepping stones. They should make us creative and innovative to come up with solutions that are going to ignite more creativity, more critical thinking, to be able to even solve greater challenges for the world. Remember to disconnect from the people who are holding you back. I know this is where most of us go really get drilled. You want to do something, you think it is good for everyone, but there is somebody pulling you back. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. This is for others to do. Oh my. We are in this world as individuals, and we have been commissioned to do something. You have a talent, you have a gift, make use of it. Do not be derailed by those people who don't want to do things. Get out, create that peace garden, of course, with the support of the administration in your institution and so on and so forth. Remember, if you want to fly, you have to give up the stuff that weighs you down. Yeah, go to a corner, sit down, shed it off, get some peace, and move on. Fly, do things that people thought you could not do. Results happen over time. Remember, it's not going to happen pap. In Education for Sustainable Development, I keep telling you it's about starting small and then grow with time. Yeah, don't think about starting so big. No, use what is locally available. Results happen over time, not overnight. Work hard, stay consistent, be there, don't give up, and be patient. One day, you will see the fruits. We will be addressing each of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals with time, so that we be part of the team that is supporting the world to realize all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So there is so much when it comes to goal number 16, that is peace education. There is so much for goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3, like that to the end. We will create time to share all this with you. Thank you very much for your time. Remember, it is GL. Give love, get love. Thank you and goodbye.